Good morning. Welcome back to my studio. I'm Mary Corrado from Mary Corrado Interiors here in Portland, Oregon. And today I'm going to play a little more with Amy Howard's brand new molds. Now this is the Lily of the Valley mold. This is such a beautiful flower. It's one of my favorite flowers. And so I just thought I am going to do something with this. So I did a little research and I thought, how do I use this on furniture? How do I use this on accessories? And I came across some Italian lamps from mid-century, and they all had that beautiful white kind of ceramic flower that was three-dimensional on top of them. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take this, I'm gonna make some molds of these Lily of the Valley, and I'm going to add them to an old mid-century lamp that I have. So today what I am going to do is mostly show you how to do the molds, how to attach them to the lamp, but I also use Amy Howard's English Boxwood one-step paint for the base. I recoated my lamp with this. And then we are going to paint our molds with Amy Howard's one-step Bauhaus buff. So to get started, I'm going to show you how to mix the resin, how to fill the mold, and then we'll go from there, paint the molds and apply them to the lamp. Before I forget, if you would like to say hi, we love to hear where you're from. And we also would love it if you want to share the video with 3 friends. Your name will go into a drawing and you could possibly win the Lily of the Valley mold. So here's the mold. Here is the resin. And here is the resin hardener. Now what you want to do for these molds, since we are going to be applying it to a lamp that we may possibly want these to bend around a corner a little bit, what you can do is you can mix 1 part resin with a half a part of hardener. That way it keeps it pliable and it makes it mold, which is great. Otherwise they can get very hard and they will not move. Now for this, we are not going to need a lot. So I'm going to pour my resin in and I am going to do half of my hardener. Now, I recommend wearing gloves. I forgot to put mine on. I also recommend when you are at home doing this, make sure that you wear a mask. You need to be in a well-ventilated area anytime you're using any type of resins. So let me get at least 1 glove on my right hand, and I am going to pour in my hardener. Just half. You can use a little scale or you can eyeball it. So you can do 50 to 80% of your hardener. So let's get this poured in. I want to get all of it, well, as much out as you can. And stir it. Now, I like to stir mine for 3 minutes. I've never had any trouble with it setting when I have stirred it for 3 minutes. So you just slowly stir. I try not to get too many bubbles. You do get the bubbles. It doesn't seem to matter as much in these molds if you do get a little bit of bubbles because they get painted over, the molds do, generally, and so they don't show, but just keep stirring, do your best. Okay, this has been about 3 minutes. It did not make you watch the whole time. Okay, so now Make sure everything is free of debris. And you carefully, I like to use the spoon to just fill these molds. There are some very fine lines in here, and the spoon can make a nice narrow stream when you pour. Remember, this is self-leveling, and it's really easy to overfill these. At least I overfill them. So when you do that, it's fine, but when you get excess around the edges and stuff, you take some scissors and you cut off the excess resin that's maybe stuck to the actual mold. I'll show you what I mean when I pull out the molds I've done. So you just fill these in. It will take about anywhere from 6 to 9 to 12 hours until these are ready to use. So if you're like me and don't like waiting that long, for that many days, I actually have multiple molds. So I was able to do 4 Lily of the Valley at one time versus just 2. So that sped along my process really, really quickly. Okay, you get the idea. Just fill them up. If you want to go back and try and get rid of some of these bubbles, you can. These aren't bothering me. They'll be fine because you won't see them. But go ahead and fill everything. Okay, so now I am going to move this out of the way. I have some dry ones already. And here they are. And see how they just pop out. Now here's what I mean by overfilling. A little extra here, a little extra there. You can just kind of pull them apart, and if you take some small scissors, they will be totally fine. You can just kind of pick off the really little areas, but see how pliable these are? This will make them so easy to work with as I'm applying them to my lamp. And these, you can just cut away with some scissors. Okay. But here's how pretty they are. I just love them. Now I took several molds and I cut them, like I cut this off of the leaves, and that's super easy to do. Just use scissors, because as I'm applying these to my lamp, I want to have a little variation. So here's some plain leaves. Here's the whole one. And then some of these, this is so pliable, I don't have to keep it, they don't all have to stay perfectly rounded the same way. So now the next step I'm going to do, now that we have these dry and ready to apply, what I want to do first is I want to paint these before I put them onto my lamp. And I want these to be white, so I am using the Bauhaus Buff. Okay, so I'm just going to pour some of Amy Howard's Bauhaus Buff chalk paint. I'm going to pour it into a cup because sometimes it gets a little messy around the edges of the can, and it's also actually pretty warm in here today. So I am going to use my mister. And I'm going to just add a little bit of, oops, you're not even seeing this. I'm just going to add a little bit of water. I have a clean spoon, just give that a little stir. Now I'm going to take an artist brush, and we're just going to start painting these. They paint beautifully. Just kind of pounce in there so you get all the way down. This way they show up really well. I want them to be highlighted on the lamp, not all the same color as the lamp. And you can do 1 or 2 coats, whatever feels right. I would probably recommend 2. Now, as you know, Amy's One Step Paint is a chalk-based paint. It is all natural. It is made without any VOCs. There's nothing to cause any harm. Just wash off with soap and water. So it's very simple. Okay, I'm going to get several of these painted, and then we will come back and start applying them to our lamp. This should dry within about 20 minutes. You can also use a hair dryer if you want to kind of rush the process. It's actually just a really quick process. So I'm going to continue on, and I will be back. What I'm going to do now is turn the camera down, and we are going to start applying these lily of the valley, and let's transform this lamp. So let's see what we can do. Okay. So I'm going to turn this down. Make sure you guys have a great view. And here we have some painted molds. Do I just want to start really simple on the first? I think I do, actually. I think I'm just going to keep it super simple, and we'll add some more as we go. Now I have this E6000. This is a great glue. It dries very, very quickly, and it is super easy to use. So I'm just going to apply it carefully to the back. Make sure there's enough on here, but I don't want it to glop out everywhere. But this is a really fast drying, strong glue, so this is awesome. Okay, there's the first one. This is just going to remind me of the mid-century lamps that have, I think it's like a porcelain clay onlays. They had the white base and they had the white tops that matched the little white florals. So that's why I did that. So now that this is the second one, I see that since it is really pliable, I'm going to be able to round the corner on this, which will make this, and I can turn it up so it's not just butting against it. So this way we'll be able to do it all the way around, and it can kind of flow over the edges, which is really cool. Okay, so let's get this glued. We'll play with this. Let's see if we can't get that to bend and stick appropriately. Just apply some pressure. cute so far. So cute. It's just the beginning. Okay, let's keep working. I want this to have really good dimension. Here is a plain leaf. One little leaf that I cut apart. And I'm going to add it. These do kind of fit. I'm able to kind of bend them into place. Let me just turn this so you can see better. So pretty. Oh my gosh. So fun, the things you can do. Let's see, do we want to keep going? This is just going to be a little puzzle. Okay, apply some pressure. These dry really quickly, which is great. So just be patient and let's let these stick, and when they've gotten a little dried on here, I will come back and we will take a look. Okay, they're all glued on, and let's take a look. Is that the cutest? Okay, now to finish this off, I will be a bit of some light wax, and that's about it. So let's see how it turns out. Okay. Let's go ahead and get our light wax. I'm gonna get a brand new clean brush so there's no residue in it. Always use Amy Howard's chippy brushes. Let's load up and then we can offload. This will just give it really nice light sheen. You don't want to overdo it. You can feel the wax. I'm going to let this come to tack, and we will see if I even want to add dark wax. I'm kind of liking the pristineness of the way this contrast is, so we will see. Let me just do a quick light blow dry. Okay, you always use a lint-free rag to buff out the wax. When it has come to tack, it will feel a little less greasy and it will feel colder to the touch. Okay, just bunch up your rag and give it in a hit drag motion. I'm gonna cover up that tag. In a hit drag motion, let's start to buff. Oh, this is giving it such a pretty sheen. So pretty. Okay, let's take a look. What do you think? Oh, I think it's great. I think it's so fun. Love the colors. It feels vintage, but pretty. It's unique. And honestly, you could fill this everywhere. You could do whatever you want to do. This is just what I've come up with. So this is such a fun project that you can just let your imagination run wild, do whatever suits you, whatever works in your decor. But what a fun way to transform an old lamp into something fresh and new and vintage at the same time. So I'm loving it. I think it's beautiful. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It is a really good, fun way to really experiment and have fun and enjoy the process.